I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're opening the books on the remarkable career of Edward Mendlowitz with his amazing book called Memoirs of a CPA, the growth, development, and rise of one of America's most successful CPAs. This compelling read offers more than just tax talk. It's a deep dive into how a CPA can build a thriving practice, lead with integrity, and leave a lasting legacy. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Ed, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. Glad to be here, and I love your introduction.
Well, it's all very, very fitting, all very well deserved. This is quite a book you have written, 100 chapters, and every one of them is interesting. Why did you decide 100 chapters would be the right venue to share those behind the scenes insights and give readers invaluable advice?
Well, number one, I wanted the book a certain number of pages,
Mhm.
so I worked backwards. I wanted this many pages, and then I like short chapters. I like reading books that have short chapters.
Me too.
For some reason, I get a sense of accomplishment every time I finish a chapter, and the kind of stuff I want to talk about. It's not a novel that you could read from the beginning to the end, and you have suspense.
Mm.
So I wanted to put topics in there and talk about things that people could pick it up anytime they want. They could put it down and then pick it up anytime they want and not lose any of the flow.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's how I ended up with the chapters.
Yeah, I think it makes it highly readable, highly digestible. Like you said, you get that sense of accomplishment, and you've got a business mind, you've got a numbers mind. So 100 chapters is kind of a good thing. It's a good number, no doubt. What do you hope that readers take away from your book? Is it primarily for people who are interested in business, people who are interested in memoirs, a little bit of both? Tell us about that.
Well, my motive was to have a book out there that people who want to be CPAs could know something about what CPAs do. So I
Mm.
had in my mind a student or a young person who's starting in accounting. As I started writing it, there were a lot of takeaways that people who are practicing could get a lot of ideas from. So my focus included now people, experienced people who are practicing. After the book went on sale, and I got a few comments from readers. A lot of comments I got were from people who were not CPAs, had no interest in becoming CPAs, but who were in business. And
Mm.
they felt that the way I started and ran and grew my practice applies to them. And they thanked me for that. So
Yeah.
now I have a third, I didn't write it for them, but I have a third group of people that read the book, which
Yeah. Yeah. If you're
this is
interested in business, this is the book for you as well. And it's a great career. Growing up, I grew up in a very middle class background, and my folks wanted us to go to college only if it would end in a job. So they all wanted us to be accountants. So two of my siblings became accountants because there was a defined career path. And that's helpful for a middle class person or anyone. I chose a more circuitous route, but like I had mentioned to you before I began recording, I have two sisters who are accountants. It is a great career. There is a defined path, and it's a career that people need to know more about, don't you think?
I think so. A lot of to the general public, what accountants do is tax returns. And
Yeah.
when I meet somebody for the first time, they hear I'm the CPA, they start talking about taxes.
Yeah.
Taxes, we do taxes, but the main thing we do is we advise clients, we help them run their businesses better, we help them grow, we help them determine and set up and maintain controls over their business. And we're like general all around advisors to the clients. Also, if you borrow money from a bank, you need financial statements.
Yeah.
And that's really an essential thing that CPAs do, because if you didn't have confidence in the financial information that you get, the banks wouldn't be as willing to lend as much as they lend. So we play an important role in the economy. And of course, taxes is like the hook that gets people talking.
Right.
But I'll tell you something about taxes. Whenever I get a lead for a new client, uh, first thing they say is they think they're overpaying taxes. And we usually spend about 5 minutes talking about taxes. And then we spend another 55 minutes talking about their controls.
Mm.
And nobody uh, loses sleep that they're paying too much tax. They may not like paying taxes. They may not paying a lot. They may not like paying a lot of taxes, but they don't lose sleep over it. But they lose sleep if they don't have tight controls, and if people working in the warehouse or the factory, or something gets shipped to a customer,
Mm.
gets lost
Yeah.
or gets, in effect, stolen. So that's what they're really concerned about. That's what keeps them awake. So that's another thing that CPAs do. We help with the controls.
Exactly, exactly. From business consulting to taxes to financial statements and a whole lot more. It is a very, very broad field and a rewarding field. How would you say the accounting profession has changed most during the course of your career?
Oh, it really, you might say it's a different career based on what it was when I started and what it is now. When I started, we were more concerned with the transactions that the clients had, uh, making sure the books were proper, making sure that they paid the right taxes. Now it's, I would say, at least a third of what we do is advisory.
Hmm.
And the other thing is, when I started, one of the things we did, I did bookkeeping. We did write-up work, which is really the bookkeeping. Now that's all done electronically. It's
Yeah.
done by bots. It could be done anywhere all over the world. But what people need more than ever, they have the information. They need someone to help them interpret it. And what we do is we're interpreting something that happened yesterday,
Mm.
but we're interpreting in a way that helps them with their actions tomorrow. And we become more predictive rather than reactive in what they do. So the is really a lot different. But what hasn't changed is the one-on-one relationship with the CPA.
Mm.
When I started in accounting, I would do a day's work. I would end up with a report. My boss would go meet with the client a day later, 2 days later, and go over the numbers. That is still being done today.
Mm.
And actually, part of what my boss spoke about 60 years ago, we still talk about today,
Mm.
about the personnel, about the course, about what their plans for the future, if they're saving enough money for their security. We also add to that, of course, because things change. So we talk about where they want it. We spend more time now talking about where the client wants to go, what they want to accomplish, where they see themselves in 5 years, which has changed a little of the conversation, but the process really hasn't changed much.
Yeah. Exactly. The digital age, of course, has impacted your profession like it's impacted my profession, but the basics are always the same. The same with me being a journalist. The interview is always more or less the same, or more or less always different, which would be a good thing. And the same with you as an accountant. The basics are there, the principles are there. Having a high degree of integrity is very important to you. And you talk about that in the book. Talk to us a little bit about why it's so important to have that legacy of integrity.
Well, first of all, when someone owns a business, they're really there alone. They're running the business alone. They can have people working for them,
Mhm.
but they work for them. And they get very few people that they could trust and who will give them a direct and relevant and an honest answer. And what I decided I wanted to be when I started, after I got a little experience, I wanted to be the one person in the world that the client can trust completely.
Mhm.
And I think I become that for my clients. We have a slogan. The profession says, CPAs are your trusted advisors. I am the trusted advisor for my clients. I'm the first person they call when they have something new on their mind or something they want to do. Uh, they listen to me. They don't always they listen to everything I say. They don't always do everything I recommend, but
Mm.
they listen and they consider everything I do, and I'm part of every decision.
Right.
Again, clients make their own decisions, but I'm there to prod them, help them move along, and they know that I don't have a hidden agenda. I'm not trying to score points myself. I'm not trying to sell them something extra. I'm trying to give them the most direct and important advice. And I think that's what the best role of a CPA is to be the number one person they call when there's something on their mind.
Speaking about being number one, you were named to a very prestigious list, the Forbes list of top 200 CPAs. Tell us a little bit about being bestowed with that honor, keeping in mind that in this country, there's probably hundreds of thousands of CPAs. So to
Well,
be in the top 200 is amazing.
there's about 630,000 CPAs in the country.
Wow.
Uh, first of all, I was very honored that I was nominated, and then I was selected. I had to go through a vigorous screening, but tremendous honor. And three of my partners were also on that list. So
Wow.
from my firm with them, we have four people on the 200 list. I think that's pretty good.
That's amazing. And you still are active in your firm with them?
I'm still active. I still service clients. I don't take as much new business as I used to take. So I'm not out there hustling to get clients,
Right.
but I do have some clients that I'm in charge of and that I'm in touch with. Certainly not daily, maybe a couple times a week.
Yeah.
I'm actually in touch with, meet with them or talk with them.
Yeah.
So I'm still active.
Well, that's wonderful. And they're lucky to have you because navigating the business world for somebody who's perhaps got not a business mind, and a lot of entrepreneurs don't. They have great ideas, they have great energies, they might have great services, they might have great products, but when it comes to the business end of it, which can get you into a lot of turmoil, they don't have the mind for it. And turning to somebody like yourself has to be a great, great asset to them. Let me ask you this. You're a busy writer as well. You've penned dozens of books, including this one, 32, I think, at last count. And there's Memoirs of a CPA. It's a wonderful book, folks, no doubt. You like to write as well. Tell us a little bit about your writing career.
Well, I did not start out as a writer. I did not start out as wanting to write. And everything that accomplished, I've accomplished some really good things, but was almost always by accident. And what happened was I never set out to create the opportunity,
Mm.
which is a fault of mine. But I never let an opportunity pass me by. And so my success is because I saw an opportunity and I took it. And I had the opportunity to write, to write articles, write books, appear on television,
Mhm.
it all to teach. All these opportunities came about. And when I speak to young people today and I try to help a lot of people, I meant that I've probably helped 150 people get their first article published.
Mm.
One of which was 2 weeks ago, a student that I had 3 years ago. He asked me to help him write an article and I got published two weeks ago.
Wow.
But when I
Great.
talk to young people and I try to make them take the opportunity when it comes to them, and they don't. And it
Yeah.
really bothers me. And I give a quick example. You're originally from New York.
Yep.
You could be standing on a corner trying to get a taxi, and there's a guy driving the taxi right down the middle of the road, and you're waving, and he goes right past you. Meanwhile, there's a guy that's two streets behind that guy, zigzags all the way and gets over to me.
Yep.
First guy goes home, and his wife, or her husband says, "How was today?" He said, "Oh, it wasn't good. Nobody was out there." And the second guy says, "Oh, it was great. Everywhere I looked, someone was looking for a taxi." You got to take the opportunity, and that's what I did. And I think the reason for my success is I took what fell into my lap. I didn't pass it by.
Mm.
My advice to young people is: you could be aggressive, you can look for the opportunity, you can make the opportunity. That's good, and you should do that. But never pass up the opportunity when it comes to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice throughout this book. The book we've been focusing on today is Memoirs of a CPA, the growth, development, and rise of one of America's most successful CPAs. It is an insightful journey through a remarkable career that proves accounting is as much about people and purpose as it is about numbers. Ed, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. Great talking to you.
Great chatting with you as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time. This time, until next time, on Spotlight.